Right now, get to see Mr. Everett, who I know had been under the weather, and Reverend Dr. Janet Garner Mullins, and Reverend Paula McCullough, former student and alumni of Hood Theological Seminary. We thank you for joining us, and we know that others are on the way. I just want to welcome us to our International Center for Faith, Science, and History Fall Virtual Conference. We're in for a treat. For those of you that have never attended any of our events, and for the benefit of the recording, we started the IC Fish in 2019 with a Science for Seminaries grant from a AAAS DOSER, that's the American Association for the Advancement of Science, and the Dialogue on Science, Ethics, and Religion. And so what we do at IC Fish is we integrate science with religion, and particularly we integrate science with the dialogue with the Black Church, dialogue with African and African diasporic religions. And this year, our theme is energy, the science and spirit of energy, and we are in for a treat. We've got the very talented, the very skilled, the very blessed and anointed Dr. Dominic Bednar, who has earned his PhD in environmental sustainability from the University of Michigan. He is also the first graduate of the Urban Energy Justice Labs and the co-founder of Black in Environment. Now, I could go on and on and on about this very brilliant young man, but just know that he has centered his work and trying to ask questions that get at how everyone on the planet can have access to affordable and sustainable energy. He also is looking at how persons can center energy justice questions, energy equity questions, energy sustainability questions, especially in the time of AI, where we know that AI is an energy hog. And so how are we, as AI is become more and more required by businesses, by schools, by all the infrastructures, how are we going to maintain energy sustainability as people of faith? And then we have our religious component, Dr. Claudette Anderson. She is the founder and executive director of the Unuchi organization and Respelling Obeah. She has her PhD in interdisciplinary studies in cognitive ethnomedicine and religion from Emory University. Her research centers African-derived religions in the English-speaking Caribbean. She's a fellow Yardi, Jamaican, as well as African indigenous systems of knowledge and oral traditions. She's an advocate for knowledge reparations, and so let us know what knowledge reparations means in her work. And her work is dedicated to addressing the negation and demonization of African spiritualities, and she also actively protects Africana knowledge systems against prejudice and criminalization. She has a background in extensive community service, and she is initiated in the mystery systems of FA. Now, I do see one of the IC Fish advisory board members, the Dean Matthew McCullough. So good to see you with us. I said, I don't know if you're going to be able to join us. I'm so happy that you made space, Dean Matthew McCullough, at the only North Carolina Agriculture and Technical Institute. We want to thank you. Looks like I got another. Sandra Carter's in the house. God bless you. Look at all these hoodlums. Dr. Cheryl Kirk Duggan is in the house. Jeremy Guyton. Anyway, good to see folk falling in. To Taisha Walker. All the hood folk, all the important hood people are online today. Okay, so let us begin. I was looking for our libationist I don't see Baba Akinlana, but I'm gonna ask Mr. John Everett, since you off your sick bed, can you just say a word on behalf of President Virgil Lattimore and to welcome our guests, many first time and some returning guests. Just say a word, Mr. John Everett. He's the right hand man at Hood. I think you're muted, Mr. Everett. I think you're muted. Oh, okay. So you can't unmute. That's fine. That's fine. Just wave to us. All right. Okay. That is our greeting from the admin at at Hood. If you would this morning, if you would just do me a favor, and would you just put in the chat where you are from? If you are interested in receiving this recording, I'd like to make sure that you have one. And I also want to make sure I send you a survey at the conclusion of this event. Having introduced our presenters, what I would like to do at this point in time is let Dr. Dominic come to you and share a bit about himself, a bit about his work and his challenge to us as people of faith. And then we'll have, I believe, we'll hear from Dr. Anderson. Then we'll take a little break, and then we'll be able to get into some dialogue as we talk about the spirit and science of energy. Especially when we're thinking about this time when so many are experiencing what we call social and political paralysis. Many of us are finding that people are just overwhelmed, we are fatigued. How can our scholars, from the scientific perspective and from the religious perspective, help us generate the energy that's necessary for us to do the work that we believe that God is calling the church and the community, the communities of faith to engage in, to build the world where all can have access to energy and have sustainable lifestyles. So Dr. Dominique, let us know who you are, where you are, and what you want us to know about energy from your scientific perspective, sir. Let me unmute you. Is that better?
No, he's still muted.
Cannot unmute. Just a second. Go ahead now. I thought I had that checked. You got it. You got it now.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for the introduction and invitation. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are calling in and or watching this video or / recording. Yeah, it's a real pleasure and honor to be here. I'm blessed to be able to have the invitation by Reverend Dr. Sharon. A little bit about myself. I have been interested in energy and the environment and the outdoors for, says you're unable to hear me. Can other folks hear me? Can I get a thumbs up?
I can hear.
Yes.
Okay. I can hear.
Alrighty. Thank you. Yeah, I've been interested in energy and environment for as long as I can remember. I think professionally, my journey started back in high school. My mom forced my hand, and I don't want to say voluntold, but she told me I was going to this high school. I wanted to go to a high school where all of my friends were going. And she said, no, you're going to this magnet school, this arts and technology school, Carver Center, George Washington Carver Center for Arts and Technology in Baltimore, Maryland. And in high school, I studied the art and the trade of carpentry. And so from an early age, I learned what it meant to work with my hands, to work with and manipulate wood in a way that allows us to build structures. Literally in the ninth grade, we built a small size home, a 10 by 10 home, a wall with studs 16 inches on center, a wall with a door, a wall with a window, and another wall with a window and a door. And all the way from framing the masonry to constructing the buildings. I think this experience led me to wanting to study engineering and to learn and to understand and to grow. And to what is the science and what is the physics and the calculations that really gird how tall buildings and skyscrapers and our bridges are able to stand up and not fall down. In that journey, I am receiving my training, learned obviously a lot about the calculations and a lot about the science. But what was missing from that was this component about sustainability and what does it mean for the environment to be able to build the world that we want? And what does it mean for the environment for other folks to build the world that they want, despite that it might come as a cost or as a harm to other people. And so that led me to the University of Michigan, who has a over 30-year history in the environmental justice space, including greats like the late Dr. William Bryant, Dr. Dorceta Taylor, who's there, my former advisor now, Dr. Tony Reams, who introduced me to this space of energy justice. And so once I arrived there, I really learned about how all of my interests since I was young came together to help me understand, but really also to advocate for everyone's adequate access to affordable, sustainable household energy. And energy justice really helps us think about energy in this framework. I mean, when we say justice, justice anything means how the world is supposed to be. But frequently in the study of energy justice or in the study of environmental justice, we often have to reflect on the injustices that happen. And being able to critically analyze the reality of people's lived experiences and lived situations allows us to then try to path forward to think about programs and policies and laws that really help facilitate the investment in new opportunities, the investment in resources and infrastructure, and the investment in equitable futures. And so really what I have learned that my role and my purpose is to connect the science of energy with the science and energy of the people. And so, yeah, that's kind of my journey that has gotten me here. And actually where I'm calling in from is Salvador de Bahia, Brazil, which is considered the Afro-Brazilian capital. It here in Salvador, Brazil, they have the second largest population of African descendant people in the world outside of the continent of Africa. And so even being here and having had the opportunity to live here after I did a Fulbright living a year in Santiago, Chile, I think energetically and spiritually, you can feel the difference. You can feel how folks connect with Yemanja when they go to the ocean and greet the water. You can feel um, just how connected and rooted I think folks are communally and how easy they are to offer up advice or to walk you all the way where you need to go if you are lost or if you need something. And so I've got maybe a couple slides I want to share that provide like an overview of some of the work that I've done, but really the importance of what energy justice is. And then I will pause there and I think we will pass it on to Dr. Claudette, and then I think have some space for some questions. All right, folks can see, yes?
Yes, we
Okay,
can
beautiful.
see. I can see.
So I think just to ground us in the work, I think my approach to energy justice is one that I hope to invite folks in to think about what we're rooted in, what we're grounded in. And so what values are we rooted in? What cultures are we rooted in?
Hey, honey.
How does that
Hey,
change?
have you ensured that you've allowed your speaker to be connected? Yeah, I have.
Reverend Sheila,
But for
can you
some
mute?
reason, it's just not
Reverend
giving
Sheila, can
me.
you mute, please?
Turn on your Bluetooth speaker. It says
See if
mirror
that'll work.
my video and
Just a
video
second. Reverend
settings.
Sheila, I'm sorry, Dr. Dominic.
I know what she's talking
Let me
about.
see if I can mute her for us. All right. Yeah, go ahead. If you could just just take us a few steps back, Dr. Dominic.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for your patience, everyone. So just a affirmative analysis for us to think about is, again, what are we rooted in, no matter where we're at, whatever part of the world are we in? What are the values that we're rooted in? What are the cultures that we're rooted in? And what are the futures that we are rooted in to dream of? How do we reflect on where we are? How do we reflect on how we've diverged from our values? How we've diverged from how we honor our cultures, how we honor our spirits, how we honor our ancestors? But then also, how do we think about what is revolution? What is the future that we want? I think simply revolution is just making something complete. I mean, we revolve around the sun. We make revolutions when we are moving in our cars. And so, like, what is it that we want to revolutionize, and how is it that we want to move forward? And so, again, energy is something that is important, something that permeates all of our existence, whether it is energy that we resource from the earth, whether it's energy that we share amongst one another. It's something that is important for us to consider and to reflect on. Often some questions that I consider are, but what are the energy disparities, and what are the differences in those experiences between our disparities, or between our experiences of energy? And 1 second, I think I need to reshare. Okay, and so thinking really globally, what does it mean? Billions of folks across the planet don't have access to electricity, whether to power their heating, their cooling, their electrical outlets for their devices that use energy. And even more folks don't have access to clean cooking, and typically either use wood and or dung as their primary source of energy to heat their homes and to clean and to cook for their food. A realm that I've worked in is this space of energy poverty, and that energy poverty, energy insecurity is simply when folks don't have access to the energy that they need, and really references this lack of access to life-sustaining energy. You see, I have this photo here of this family with a baby in front of an oven. Frequently in the energy justice, energy poverty space, folks talk about this heat or eat dilemma, where folks have to make a decision on whether or not they heat their homes or put food on the table. And frequently, folks resort to unsafe coping mechanisms, such as using their oven to heat their homes, despite the risk of, it catching fire. This was frequently an occurrence, even in my own home growing up. which in some ways, although it is a coping mechanism, it is a innovative way of thinking and thought to provide warmth to your home. And so despite that, many folks still do have access to energy, primarily in the global north. Dr. Sharon referenced even the use of AI. I'd like to show this image here. This is a aerial thermal image that was taken of the XAI facility that Elon Musk runs and helped create. The folks there in Memphis, Tennessee are experiencing high levels of air pollution, but also levels that are now starting to begin and pollute the natural water aquifers that exist below the city. And it's important to think about this new age of AI. While I believe it's a beautiful technology and can support us in many ways, I think what we are experiencing today is levels of environmental racism that replicate what folks have experienced in the late 1970s, the early 1980s, particularly Warren County, North Carolina, where Black folks were protesting the dumping of toxic waste in their communities. And so today you see Black folks again protesting the implementation and the construction of these data center facilities. And data centers require data centers are comprised of a series, a network of computers that process data and information. However, what they require is an immense amount of water and energy, particularly to cool these computers because they are running 24/7, 365. And so the energy needed to provide AC and to cool these is pretty intense. And normally there are a set of regulations and a permitting process that when constructing any new energy facility is required. Now in Memphis, Tennessee, Elon Musk took a very interesting approach to construct this by going around the permitting process by putting together portable natural gas power plants and connecting these portable plants together to really evade the permitting process that is put in place to protect communities. And when they were asked about it, they were like, yeah, we have maybe like 30 to 40 power plants, but all of them, maybe 2 or 3 or something, are running at a time. And so someone was like, I don't believe this. And they went and took this aerial image and saw that nearly all of them were turned on. And so again, important to think about like policies and programs that are here to protect us. I'm gonna fast forward to some of this just a bit. Sub-Saharan Africa is home to most of the global population's energy access. These are some stats here. I won't read all of these. The importance of gender and energy nexus, particularly in the global south. Many of the women do much of the laboring in terms of getting food, getting water for folks across the country or in their communities and their tribes. The United Nations has this set of sustainable development goals where they enshrine for their 7th goal is affordable access to clean energy. And so this is especially important just thinking about how are we, again, rooted in our values? How are we reflecting on our values, and how do we revolutionize a space where energy access is something that is true and a reality for everyone? These are some indicators, but here I kind of want to move to at least like a United States context where I believe most folks here are from. Millions of Americans experience energy poverty in a way that allows or that doesn't allow them to either afford food or medicine. frequently being disconnected from their energy services, either from being behind on their utility bills, and then being shut off, or because of natural disasters from extreme weather events also are causing folks to be disconnected from their energy. But even still, folks often don't have energy efficient homes, and so they can't maintain comfortable temperatures in their homes. And finally, folks also don't have operable heating or cooling equipment. And so all these things together come to this space of what we call situations of energy insecurity, which are particular experiences that folks that are energy insecure experience. Here in the US, 1 of 3 in 2020 reported any sort of type of energy insecurity, whether that being for going food or medicine to pay their bills, receiving a disconnection notice, or they're keeping their home at unsafe or unhealthy temperatures. And my work really, my doctoral work, which now I'm looking at this, was published in 2025, nearly 6 years ago, really investigated how do we define what energy poverty is, but also how do we investigate, how do we measure our solutions to the problem, and how do we evaluate them. And so my argument, and what still holds true today, is that before you can solve a problem, you have to define a problem. And without a definition of energy poverty, it really limits the amount, extent, and causes of how we're able to characterize what this looks like in the country. And further, it misguides how we measure the problem and consequently misinforms how we evaluate our solutions to the problem, which leads to what I call path-dependent solutions, or doing a set of solutions down a particular path makes it really hard and challenging to realize, hey, this isn't our best solution. How do we actually change course of direction and go a different way? But I frequently call this insanity, when you do the same thing over and over again, but wanting different results. Our basic understanding in the United States comes through our 2 federal programs, Health and Human Services, which is a bill assistance program, and then the Weatherization Assistance Program, or WAP, which is a energy retrofit program. Now, how we define each of these problems or energy poverty is strictly related to eligibility of these support programs, whether that be 150% or 200 of the federal poverty line. But how we measure our success of this program is really hinges on whether or not we support a household that has an elderly member, a young child, or someone that has a disability. The weatherization program just counts the number of homes that are weatherized. But the LAHI program has had no national evaluations. And so despite us spending a sizable amount of money to support folks with immediate bill assistance, there are no major evaluations of like how supportive that program is. Meanwhile, the more sustainable approach to actually retrofitting people's homes has had a number of evaluations that have demonstrated the success and the multi-benefits of what energy efficiency does in terms of reducing our energy bills, but also increasing the comfortable temperatures in our home. Here is the historical funding of these programs. On the left, on the top, which is LAHI. As you see, our primary solution to energy poverty is supporting with bill assistance. And then the bottom is the blue, which is supporting with energy efficiency or retrofit assistance. Here was during the big spike is Obama's, one of Obama's RA policies that really, for the first time, invested quite a lot of money into this program to support with job creation, but also to support with energy efficiency and retrofitting. And despite that 7 million folks have been weatherized since the mid-70s, 40 million folks remain income eligible for this energy efficient or this weatherization assistance program each year. There was a study by the American Council for Energy Efficient Economy found that if we were to actually increase energy efficiency for all low-income households, it would actually reduce our energy burdens by 25%. Energy burden really describes like what people are paying on their energy bills. It's the total amount that you're spending on your energy bill as a percentage of your household income. And so when your energy burden is higher, you don't have as much money to spend on food or medicine healthcare, transportation, or whatever your desires may be in terms of enjoyment. And really my work has helped us move towards this space of thinking about energy more multidimensionally through these areas of technical, socioeconomic, and environmental policy. So, such as the building characteristic. Normally, if you're living in an older home, you might be consuming more energy because it's less efficient. Of course, we're interested in the socioeconomic characteristics of this, meaning how much money folks are making, but also what's the size of the home? Are there elderly folks in the home? Are there folks that are using energy that might, or are there folks that are using medical equipment or medical devices that require energy? How does that influence how we're using our home? And then finally, thinking about environmental policy decisions, does a particular state or region have policies that support energy access for all? I'm going to fast forward some of these slides to get through. Yeah, so right here, again, thinking about energy vulnerability as a place that moves us to think about energy security, that helps us understand what are the risks and threats that actually harm our most treasured assets, being our home, our health and well-being, our family, our finances. And then for this group, I'll also just throw in there, like, how does that affect, like, and test what our faith is? And so ultimately, the policy implications of this work are thinking about a national energy poverty strategy that includes a definition and metrics that have reduction-based goals, such as we want to reduce energy poverty by X amount by this particular year, or we want to improve the health and well-being of this group of people by this year, and really to lean into some more effective targeting. And so really what my work does is, I like to say AAA saves the day. It interrogates a principle of adequate access to affordable, sustainable household energy, but really interrogates this process. How do we define our problems to be able to better target the folks that are in need? How do we assess the extent that folks are experiencing energy poverty? And then finally, how do we evaluate our solutions to understand whether or not they are effective? This is more about kind of the figures of energy access in the US, what this means, like where we're getting our energy from. As you see, much of it is still from fossil fuels, natural gas, petroleum, coal, but we are slowly increasing what our renewable energy makeup looks like. There's a divide for urban and rural. Access to rooftop solar is also something that is this study by Solar Futures found that 31% of solar adopters come from households that earn less than the area median income. And additionally, census tracts with majority Black and Latino populations exhibited 30 to 69% less rooftop solar compared to the average census tract, compared to also white residents. I want to fast forward, and I think this is one of the final slides I want to show folks. There we go. Right here. So some of my work also explored energy consumption, efficiency, and affordability in Detroit, Michigan. As you see, we have a really big house, but dilapidated. It's kind of broken down. And you see the big, fancy new Renaissance Center in the background in downtown Detroit. And what this study sought to find out was, where are these pockets of folks that consume a lot of energy? And where are these pockets of folks that live in very energy inefficient homes? And for that to allow us to be able to target, where are the households that experience the highest energy burden? And so we use spatial analysis as a tool to help us understand and answer these questions. And as you see here, these maps right here is all of Wayne County, but outlined in this like dark purple is the city of Detroit. And Detroit is near and dear to my heart. It is one of the largest cities landmass wise in the US. It's one of the blackest cities in the country, I think with around 80 to 84% being Black or African American. But here what you can see is that those that are encased within the city of Detroit, mostly Black folks, most, here in Southwest, you have sizable immigrant population, they are experiencing the highest levels of energy burden, which again is the expenditure of household energy over your household income. And so again, like this is a targeted experience that folks experience that in many ways resembles and replicates the effects of what redlining was, which was a deliberate effect to design and to segregate or to facilitate segregation and also to characterize Black people and Brown people as living in homes that are less desirable and consequently that don't end up not being valued as much. And so again, like thinking about like what we're rooted in, what we are, like what are our values and how we're reflecting on this work and where do we want to go. I've shared about this, but I think again, like the racial implications are that Black folks are 3 times as likely to be behind on their utility bills or 2 times as likely to be behind on their utility bills and 3 times as likely to experience a utility shutoff. And so speaking of shutoffs, I'll close here with some of my work, really thinking about energy utility shutoffs as a protective mechanism. And so some of our laws and policies have date-based policies, temperature-based policies, disability provisions, elderly provisions, doctor's notes, and medical provisions. These folks at the Center for Biological Diversity found that if there was a nationwide ban on evictions and utility shutoffs from March to November, it would have reduced COVID infections by almost 10% and deaths by almost 15%. But my work sought to think about like, well, if we're all experiencing one pandemic that is affecting us all in a very similar way, why is it that all the states are responding differently in terms of implementing energy moratoria statuses, meaning they prevent energy shutoffs while we're all supposed to be in the house? And so there were some that did them mandatorily, there were some that did them voluntarily, and then many of the actions that they put in place expired after a very short time, which you can see here, many of them had expired, and only a few that were very still active. I'll skip past this because this was something I think that's more related to wildfires, but as you can see, folks here were shut off from their energy to prevent extended wildfires. And even the folks at the city of Berkeley was like, hey, like, or Melissa here on the right asked, like, well, what's the city to do when those don't have the means of evacuation ready to go? And then the city of Berkeley says, well, use your own means to get out. And if you can't get help, just call 911, which again reflects to this broader understanding that like we need deeper investment in our resources to support us and to support those that need support. And so again, energy justice helps us reflect on how this global system of energy fairly disseminates and shares the benefits and the burdens of energy. And Dr. Diana Hernandez, she's at Columbia University, really puts forth this call for energy justice that demands the right to healthy, sustainable energy production, the best available energy infrastructure, the right to affordable energy, and the right to uninterrupted energy services. And here's a billboard that a friend and an artist in Detroit, Michigan put together and says that air pollution kills more than 650 Detroiters a year. And then I think I will close with this photo right here. Wait a second. There we go. Which is this photo of a just transition from movement generation that helps us think about this strategy to resist, to rethink, and restructure this worldview that is centered on extraction and work and exploitation of resources towards deeper governance and militarization, and really encasing and hoarding this wealth of power, but moving us across international, national, and local levels to filter through our values and really think about work as more cooperative, something that is centered of a worldview of caring and sacredness. thinking about a deeper purpose of our ecological and social well-being, what deep democratic governance looks like, and how our resources are regenerative in a way that helps us think about living more harmoniously and energetically with the world and with our environment. And so I know I've shared a whole lot of things from a number of different areas, but kind of wanted to give just a general overview of the work that I do and how it's connected with, or at least like how I believe spirit and energy work and function through systems, but also through us and through communities. So with that, I will pause and we will pass it on. Thank you all very much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Dominic. Thank you so much. Let me just get a poll. Is everybody okay? Can we move into Dr. Claudette Anderson, or do y'all want to take a quick break? What do y'all want to do? What's the move? Just Dr. Claudette?
Yes, I
Okay,
think,
hold on. I see somebody asking for a 5-minute break. 5-minute break? 5-minute break. Let's come back and that'll give me a chance to put up the image for Dr. Claudette.
okay. Mhm.
Dr. Grant, I can say something now. Greetings from the seminary from Hood. I am not muted anymore, if you like.
Please, as we go into our second presenters, and I just want to urge people, if you had some questions or comments, write them down in regards to Dr. Bednar's presentation, and then we will have time for discussion after Dr. Anderson uh, presents. But Dr. John Everett, I see doctor now. Let me give you your due. You've been an honorable doctor a long time. I'm gonna give you your honor. Please greet the participants and presenters on behalf of Hood today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Grant. Bring greetings from our president, Dr. Virgil Lattimore, and our faculty, staff, and students here at Hood, and in the support of Dr. Grant with IC Fish in this space of connecting the church with the earth, whether it's energy, whether it's soil. Dr. Grant has been phenomenal in being able to bring a message that's impacting lives. So many of us need to hear about these different issues that are going on. These issues that we don't, talk about. But because of her boldness and her spirit to be able to bring these forth, Hood is indebted to her and all the support. So again, thank you very, very much. We are here to support you all in any way possible. Dr. Grant, much love to you. Take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Please give our greetings to Dr. Virgil Lattimore on behalf of IC Fish. All right, let us now move into Dr. Claudette Anderson, again, founder and president of Unuchi and the Unuchi Foundation and Respelling Obeah. This is our spiritual component of energy, and we will have her now share with us what she would like for us to know. Hear ye her.
Beautiful, beautiful. Ndeo, greetings to everyone, whatever time zone you occupy. Thank you for showing up. And I hope that you will find this presentation to be of use to you, particularly as people of faith, and also particularly because my background, as Dr. Grant, the Reverend, just indicated, Respelling Obeah, and she has done her research, I know, in the barnyards of Jamaica, like myself. And one of the issues we're having is that we have a law on the books in Jamaica that we're attempting to repeal. And the greatest challenge we have is the Christian church. And so I was asked to explain knowledge reparations. And this is why I'm about knowledge reparation. We know what we mean generally as people descended from enslaved Africans, that we're seeking some form of redemption for what has happened to us, that is to say, to our forebears.
The processes or ulcerative colitis symptoms can keep coming back. Break away.
I muted them. That was a
Okay. Thanks. So we have this problem where African religions have been demonized, criminalized by the slaveocracy. And we have a law in Jamaica and a few other islands in the Caribbean that still criminalizes our ancestral resistance. And the problem we're having is that the church is against the repeal because people don't know the history of this word, what this word meant for our ancestors and our forebears, and that people are using a Eurocentric lens with which to oppose freedom of religion, freedom of spirituality, freedom of expression, freedom of culture for our people. It's a sad thing to say in Jamaica today because of the reputation Jamaica has, but we do have this issue. And so my work is dedicated to repairing the knowledge, repairing the lies told about our spirituality, the lies told about our ancestors, the introduction of words to define and describe our forebears, that our forebears had no clue or even, I think, in many ways would
All
begin.
lines are still in use. Please stay on the line and your call will be answered in the order in which it was received.
I'm going to ask everyone to mute, and I'm looking to see where I can mute, but please continue.
Okay. Yes. So to continue, so this is the challenge we have, that as descendants of enslaved Africans, there's a poverty of knowledge about our spiritual systems. And this is called epistemicide by Dr. Literally, it's the killing of knowledge, so that we today don't know what it is exactly that our ancestors did. And that when we're given to study it, we're being asked to look for words that are negative. So part of my experience is that, having finished college at University of West Indies, Mona, I started working with the African Caribbean Institute of Jamaica Memory Bank. And part of what I was doing was that we were collecting quote unquote memories, collecting the stories of our elders. And what I found was that in doing this research, these elders did not define themselves in ways that we, those of us who had Western education, the ways that we thought about these people, they were not these people as described by a Eurocentric education system. And so this word Obeah kept coming up, and it was always something negative. And so I decided I was going to do the research to see what it is, because nobody could rationally and adequately define the word. And so I set out on a path to understand what this word meant. And this journey has brought me to the Igbo culture, where Ike, Ikenga, Jishi, Ikeo are words that speak to energy, that speak to power, and that speak to force, and that speak to us in a way that I hope will cause us to reconsider what it means as people of African descent to be people of faith. So Afa is the West Central African system of divination, which is really a system of education. Afa priests were the people with the PhDs pre-European enslavement. I want to bring to you, using English words, Igbo metaphysics. We have a situation where we're saying the spirit and the science of energy, and we're asking how many people of faith understand it. And so I want us to try and be Sankofa, to go back to see how we can go forward, and to bring to you ancient African definitions of these words. So I want to start with, I hope, I get to go through all of this because it's endless, but I want to look at the terms. And I want to say to you, as I just did, that when you think of the AFA system or the IFA system or the FA systems, Don't think of them as divination systems only, because to divine means to access knowledge, to ask for knowledge, and knowledge is education. So then we begin to think of these systems as education systems, as systems of knowledge. Then that is something different than saying people are fortune telling or fortune casting. This is not about telling people's fortune. These are legitimate ancient systems of knowledge. When we say spirit and science of energy, for our ancestors, there is no difference. Spirit and science are the same thing. Spirit and science and energy are the same thing. So I want to talk some more about that and to say to you that our people were the first scientists, they were the first conservationists, the first environmentalists, because they understood energy and understood that they had to live in concert with their environment. I want to give you a barnyard, Jamaican barnyard definition of faith given to me by Mother V. May light and prosperity be hers. She is transcended. And I want to then go into the Ike, Ikenga, and Jishike and explain to you how that works with the notion of faith. And then I want to talk about the far in faith and how our ancestors lived by faith, literally. So let me see how good a job I can do. I'm going to open my mouth. So we want to start with the notion of spirit. For the Igbos, this is a word, mo, M-M-U-O, mo, spirit. That word means the ability to manifest or create. So this is now a different approach to spirit than we're used to, some kind of invisible form. Within this ancient culture, a spirit defines the ability to manifest. It defines the human being as nothing and something, something standing with something standing beside it. So we're talking about the ability to create. And energy is defined in our English terms as the capacity to move things or the capacity to produce change. And here we're saying that spirit is that ability to create or to manifest change. Interestingly, there is no word for science in the Western sense in the Igbo language. The word they use for science is properly translated as wisdom. It is to know the light. It is knowledge and light. So for these first scientists, again, this was not a matter of belief in the Western traditional sense. It's a matter of knowing. And so to be a person of faith back then was to be a person who knew the light, defined in terms of almost tautologically as knowledge and as existence. So when we say Ike, the Ike, we hear Einstein saying that God is a spiral force. To define energy in Igbo terms as Igbo is to define energy as spiral existence. This is where the notion of the serpent comes in, and God as a serpent, and energy as a serpent, and everything going around in circles and spiral, and the yin and the yang. Serpent, spiral, all of those S's that we have come to know because we're in this human form is defined as existence within ancient Igbo culture, within the Afar language. We have Ike, energy as existence, but as spiral existence. And I want to read to you from a text that speaks to the equation or the oneness of energy and spirit. Spirit permeates energy and is deeply subsumed in energy. Equally, energy is spirit in motion, and life is a continuum of several patterns of motions accompanied by spirit. All relationships, barring none, are but synergies of prior motions of spirit at specific points in the great continuum of motion. What does it mean to be human? What does it mean to exist? To move. You're always moving. You're always coming. You're always going. You're always pushing. You're always pulling. So when we think of Ike as energy, we get to Ikengo, which is the house of energy or place of energy, which we call a powerhouse.
I've been so excited about this report and the study. But I said yesterday, I can sell this to how they say.
Thank you. Ikenga as a place of energy, house of energy, or as we would say, a powerhouse. And then we get to Jishiikeo, which is the notion of a powerhouse within a power source. A powerhouse within a power source. So here, our ancient ancestors rendered energy a spirit in motion, and that life is a continuum of several patterns of motions. These concepts are in the DNA. These concepts are in the blood. Because when I was doing research for my dissertation, and I went to the Jamaican barnyard and I asked Mother, what does it mean to live by faith? What is spirit? She sighs and she says, faith is like the breeze. Faith is like the breeze. That spirit. No matter how you see the tree big and the tree branch them big, the breeze move it. So you live by faith. You live by the spirit. Faith then in the Jamaican barnyard becomes spiritual knowledge. She's defining faith as spiritual knowledge, saying that science is to know the light. Science is defined in terms of wisdom, which means to know the light. Living by faith in the Jamaican barnyard means that you have access to spirit. And this is what we hear. Black people have spirit. Oh, the spirit is always a spirit. We work in the spirit. But our concept of the spirit has been stained by European notions of ghosts and apparitions. Our ancestors understood spirit as the capacity, the ability, the self-created, being able to create within human form. And so if we think of Ike, energy, the spiral existence, the serpent, ever moving, the sheer tautological brilliance of our ancestors. If you look at the serpent, you will see that it has no limbs. It can turn itself into any letter of the alphabet or any sacred geometric shape. Why is it that all human cultures in their traditional space had the same notion that energy, the capacity to move, to change things? This is Mother V in the Bahamian. You move things. You have spirit. And this was a discussion. She said there were many people she was trying to get to do the straight and narrow Christian, but the people didn't want that. They wanted spirit. She actually used the term that people were desperate. They were desperate for power. They were desperate for that ability to change their lives, to create change. This is what the capacity to produce change, the capacity to change things, to move things in your direction. And our people today, as Dr. Bednar is showing us, even in the externalization of those energies, we are wanting. We are wanting. EK, serpent energy, serpent force. If we say that energy is the capacity, and that power is the rate, the speed at which we can do things, and that force is actually that push and pull that makes things happen, then we understand why within our space, as people of African descent or as Africans, that this becomes so important to us. It's in our DNA. We can't not do it. In Jamaica, when Christianity was brought by whites, they had very few people, very few of our forebears found any favor with it. It is when George Lyle, who was with the native Baptist, he went down with spirit, and they were able to express themselves freely and to dance, and that our people became Christian because they had to identify with something that was more than these empty words. They had to be able to feel and to manifest and to bring down. And so, as people of faith, I want you, Reverend Dr. Grant, to put up the Ikenga figures. If we could have them side by side, that would be good. If not, I will tell you which one to keep.
I don't know that I can do side by side, but I
Okay.
will do what I can. You want me to start with balanced or male?
Balanced. Thank you. So this is what we would call a shrine figure or an Unuchi. This is a representation of universal balance. If you look, you will see that both sides are equal. Of course, these images were stolen and are all over the place and not in our place. We access them through the AI media. But this is called an Ikenga. It's perfect balance. Now the sun is in Libra. If you look, you can see where some of those concepts originate. Existence is balance. This is primary for our ancestors. This is primary for our forebears. Existence is balance. This is why you push, and this is why you pull. You're always either pushing or pulling. It's a different way of conceiving of what it is to be human and how we live. But that's all you're doing. You're either coming from somewhere, you're going somewhere, you're pushing at something, you're pulling at something. But this is exist, and this is what creates balance. If we say that the left side is female, there must be a right side. This notion that something stands beside it. But there's also the middle, the yoga, the place where it is yoked. And so we're saying the centripetal for always we're trying to be towards center. This is what we mean by being centered, by being balanced. And so this is a figure that shows the balance without the notion of the right hand as force and as movement. This is a simple ikenga that shows a balanced universe. The male and female sides are balanced. And the three projections at the top represent a perfection of balance, because the Igbo say it is at three that things come together, that they get stuck, that they stick. This is, as we know in our tradition, the reference to the middle pillar, where we say God comes down, the Spirit comes down, there, the center pole. All of our traditions have these concepts, and the ritual is attendant to these concepts. Could we show the next image of Ikengo? With the advent of patriarchy within Igbo culture, there became the emphasis on the right hand side, which is the side of motion, the side of activity. This is what we know to be so from our studies of the universe. And so in the right hand, you will see that sword, that knife, that implement with which you cut your way through the universe. You create the life that you want, because after all, we're saying that we have the capacity to move things and to change things while holding on to that place of the skull where we came from. We use our right hand to direct our lives. This is why you will hear within Igbo culture, people say Ikenga is the cult of the right hand. And what they're really referring to is the motion, but it's balanced motion. It's balanced motion. So when you think of yourself as a person of faith, you cannot accept that definition if you're unbalanced. It doesn't happen in our ancient African cultures. To have faith is to be balanced. It's tautology. There's no other way of being. In the same way in Jamaica, we said, if you know better, you do better. Knowledge is existence. Knowledge is experience. It's not something out there, outside of you. It is who you are. And so each of us, if we think of ourselves as Ikenga, as balanced male and female with the spirit coming through us, at that place of yoga, of that place of yoke, then if we are balanced, the only thing we can emanate is balance. And so the world becomes a better place through us because we're walking as balanced light. The third word, Jishike, and I put the O on it, O of existence, the O, the everything that is nothing, the zero and everything. In Igbo culture, everything they end with, oh, there's a reason for it. It's primal. That is a reference to universality and to energy. So that Ike is actually that O, that zero, that nothing that manifests everything. And so you can see from what I'm saying that Afa language and the Afa education system is the highest. When you become an Afa priest or a Dibio, that is to say, a master of knowledge and wisdom, that is to say, you have the highest level of education in our ancient society because you're a scientist and an artist. You're everything because the all is the everything that is nothing. And you therefore can access G, she, Ike, O. I am is energy. I am is dark energy. Rendered differently, may the fours be with you. And so we come to the Fa and the four. Energy is nothing. Existence is nothing. It's energy. But what is it that we do? Fa, again, language, communication, sound. Do, re, mi, fa. Jishi Ikeo says, myself in four. Myself as a fourfold being. I've got four limbs. I've got a four-lobe brain. I have a four-chambered heart. And this education system of our ancestors is built on four. This computer we're all using, this is why I start out with 16 gig, 4x4, and then it always doubles to 32. The fast system is the original computer system, and it's a system from which the modern computer emanated. I like to call it the organic computer, and this thing that we're using, the more artificial form of energy. And what it is that we've done, you've channeled, you've moved the energy into this physical space, this energy that is you, from your brain space to this physical space. When we say, may the force be with you, when we say, I am is the great energy of zero, what you're saying is, I am a powerhouse that's participating in source. Khalil Gibran says, say not that God is in my heart, but rather that I am in the heart of God. A person of faith sees themselves at the center of four, which in the Christian principle that was brought to us is somebody dying on a cross. It is not death on a cross. It is the human being as the fifth force within the four. And notice again, language, tautology. The word F-O-R-C-E comes from F-O-U-R. You're always doing a forecast. You do an oil check, you're doing a forecast. When you set out the day and you check the time and you check the weather, right? This is what I'm coming back. Our people were the first scientists. They were the first weathermen, weatherwomen. They could make rain because they had access to these four things. What are these four things? Elemental. This is why in the traditions that have come down to us, God's name ends with L. It's elemental. Fire, water, air, earth. Our ancients conceived of these four things as foundational, as push-pull, as being able to change things. So we had a hurricane in Jamaica. Wind power, right? Hydropower, right? Excess, imbalance, destruction. Elementally four. So when I say Eke, the serpent, the spiral force, which is Ike, which is existence, we have four cardinal directions. We have four elements. The concept of four is just so primal and so foundational that the cross is found in all human societies. It doesn't belong to when people say the Christian, it doesn't belong to Christians. This is a pan-human symbol that is found in all human societies. In the same way that the circle is found, you put the square in the circle, and then you have a pizza, and then you have your Odu, and you have your voodoo, which is a very simple thing, but has come down to us as devil worship and demon worship. All voodoo is you take that V in the circle, you have the ark. We talk in Christianity about the 4 archangels. Well, this is the 4: east, west, north, and south. We have Eke, which is the first day. We have Orie, Eke fire, first day. Orie, second day, north. Afo, third day, south. And Unko, fourth day, west. And you see the S there, the path of the spiral, the path of the serpent, going left, coming down, and coming back again. Somewhere in the book it is said that the people looked on the serpent and they were healed. These metaphors that come to us through this book that was given to us under very, very unbalanced circumstances, we have to make sense of it. But we have to make sense of it from our ancestral knowledge, lineage. Otherwise, it becomes useless. We cannot have our people teaching people to be afraid of snakes because of some story about Adam and Eve and the serpent. Serpent represents wisdom at all times. You're not human if you don't have cognition. It's a primal condition to be human. It is what separates us, to the best of our knowledge, from the other existences of which we have been made aware. So, Ike, energy, Ikenga, power, powerhouse, Jishike, power, force, the forces, the force of God, the life force. If we are to look at now what it meant for these early scientists, this holistic science in a way, if you want to call it, this sacred science, where our ancestors did not separate out spirit from science, from energy, but saw it as oneness. What do we do with that? What we do with that concept of energy as spiral, as something you can manipulate and use to create or destroy? What do you do with that concept that you, as a human being, have power? You're a powerhouse. The Ikenga is a representation of the human being balanced. It represents self-knowledge in the sense that when you look at the different Ikengas, there will be different implements in the right hand. It means that this person went, sought knowledge, and confirmed what their life purpose was. So if they were, for example, in modern times to be a tailor, they would have a scissors in the right hand. But it's a representation of self-knowledge. How many of us as people of faith, when we talk about our calling, we say we've been called to do this work. What does that really mean? What does that really mean? How can you be a person of faith and you're not an environmentalist? You're throwing bottles, plastic bottles, litter in the place. No, you're not a person of faith. How can you be a person of faith if you're not balanced? Many people in church are alcoholics. They're on drugs. And they'll tell you they're people of faith, not according to our ancient African system. Because the four in faith, that force says you are a force. You're supposed to have the knowledge, self-knowledge, to walk, to change things for yourself and for other people. When we go back to this ancient concept of Ike, we don't pray. The Igbos don't pray in the modern sense of prayer as supplication. They affirm and they command. They affirm, oh, Jesus, beg it, oh, don't let this happen. No, 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 no. If you're a person of faith, you command that thing. You manifest that. That's what mu means. Spirit, the ability to create, the ability to, it is not external. The higher consciousness that walked in the form of Jesus that we've come to hear about said, the thing is within you and it is without you. Know ye not that ye are gods. The crucifixion is not a death. It represents the ability of the human being to transform their lives and to transform other lives. What does it mean for us as descendants of the first scientists, the first environmentalists? See yourself as a powerhouse within a power source. How might people of faith understand energies, conservation, justice, and supply? We understand ourselves as Ikenga. We understand ourselves as having the power to move things. Mother V said, faith, and then she said, spirit. And then she said, it's the power to move things.
Dr.
How many
Claudette,
of you, yes.
it's almost 10:30.
Well, how long have I been? I'm sorry.
And I know you could go another 30.
Okay,
But
so
you've
don't have
given
to
us so
stop for
much.
that.
I'm gonna ask you to wrap up so we can actually have some conversation, all right?
all right, let me wrap it up. All right, as people of faith, see yourself as a powerhouse of knowledge. See yourself as a person of the cross, the ability to manipulate those forces, to live by faith. I want to end by saying, because this is one of the projects of the Unuchi Foundation. Our ancestors literally lived by faith because they lived by the four. The ancient calendars of our forebears are a system of 7 4-day weeks that form the month, and we have 13 months of the year. The days of the week are the elements. They're given to fire, water, air, and earth. So they considered their calendar, their system of days, to be a capsule, to be medicine, to be a door which they open. And each day, as representing an element, is sacred, so that all of life is sacred, because we came after the day was manifested. So we were 4 paths, or 4 eyes, or 4 sacred breaths, or 4 limbs, or 4 chambered heart, or 4 low brain. Know ourselves as balance. Know yourself as a great unseen energy that can command to create balance to make a better life. Thank you.
All right, come on, let's give Dr. Claudette Anderson some appreciation for what she has shared regarding an alpha perspective of energy. This was outstanding. I am so full right now. I've got some things that I wanted to address with Dr. Dominic. Dr. Dominic, do you have anything to respond to Dr. Claudette's presentation right now? I want to give you the first opportunity just to have a comment, and then her to you, and then I want to open it up to you. If you're all feeling like I'm feeling, I know we have something to talk about today. So
Yeah, I'll just say just a general thank you for, again, like how you've rooted us in the culture, the understanding, the language, and really just like the tradition of spirit. I think Yeah, right now I'm really just soaking it all in. I'm soaking it all in and kind of want to hold space for other folks to ask questions and to really be in conversation with us.
All right, if anybody has anything that's burning, I want to acknowledge our fellow Skip Fellow, Dr. Dominic Naborli is on the line. Dr. Naborli Sakefro. All right, welcome, welcome.
Thank
She's joining
you.
us from
Thank you.
Ohio. Thank you for logging in.
Thank you.
Anybody, jump in. I've got some things to share, but I really want to hear from you. Rev Deli is here. Rev Deli, who was our Soul and Souls facilitator last fall. Welcome and God bless you. Thank you for joining us. Anyone? If not,
I want to say, Dr. Grant, thank you very much. The entire day of the entire presentation was absolutely enlightening. I enjoyed Dr. Bednar and his information about energy justice was eye-opening. And then Dr. Claudette, she put the icing on the cake for us just now. And as a fellow Caribbean.
Trinity,
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 I'm
Trinity to the book. I did some research down there. Yes.
and my
Yeah.
my ears perked up when you start talking about Obeah, and I remember, that it was that, as a child, it was used to scare us,
Yes.
and so it was that negative conversation, but then you ended it up with someplace that took me. I recently, actually, just as my second week, I started a family Bible study. Well, I'm going to open it up to everybody in a couple of weeks, but right now it's just for my family from the Caribbean, a safe place Bible study. And we were talking about prayer last night, and I was trying to explain to them that feeling that they get when they are connected. And I could not explain it like you explained it. It's that spirit, when you have that connection, that something is wrong, or something is going on in the country that is really weighing on your heart. What do you do with that? And I was trying to tell them those are the moments. You don't pass those moments up, because we go to God in prayer, and then you ended it up with that powerful when you spoke of that force, that powerhouse, that power source that's in us. So now I have to go back and talk about that again next week. So,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
that was absolutely beautiful, because that's what, when we talk about pray without ceasing, people don't understand that we get those moments all through life, all during the day, and we ignore them,
Yes. Yes.
we ignore them. And so that's what I was trying to explain to them on last night. So thank you. I appreciate you. Am I too old to go to UE? I'm 66.
Never too
you
old.
have another
Never.
26 years. Dr. Cheryl Kirk Duggan, please. Professor Emeritus from Shaw School of Theology. Honored to have you with us, ma'am.
Listen, Reverend Dr. Sharon Grant, you are one bad mama jamma, because all the folk came on this presentation because of you and your extraordinary, magnificent creativity. So, and between Dr. Dominique and Dr. Claudette, I'm having church over here. I've taken copious notes. I'm in the middle of working on a constructive systematic theology. And so a lot of what they were saying, oh yeah, I can add that part to my understanding of epistemology. Oh yeah, I can add to that part of understanding God as midwife. So I am so excited. And Dr. Claudette, when you talk about fire and the four elements, I said, okay, let me not scream, because even though I'm muted, they give me such good stuff, I may blow my computer up. So continue to do what you're doing. Know we so value your work. And thank you for stressing the importance of faith and energy. And I love it. If we don't get the importance of throwing away plastic and using microwaves and Teflon, then we're not people of faith. Cracking me up. So, and what you all are doing is showing the interconnection of it all. and the impact of colonialization, because colonialization separated us as people of African descent. There was no separation between sacred and secular. And so my earliest trainings in music, there are no words for performer. There are words where everybody, the call and response that we do, that's because that's what our people did. So
Yes.
I could go on for the next 3 hours, but my 5 minutes are up. So thank you very much. Dr. Grant, we'll be talking.
Okay,
All
I
right,
just want to express my
anybody?
appreciation and say thank
Rev
you, thank you,
Darling,
thank
Rev
you.
Darling, where are you? Are you on your ancestral land?
I am on my ancestral land that has been recorded at, over 100 years. We have come full circle because my great-great-grandmother made sure that this land was preserved for the family, even if she had to take her baby son to court to make that happen. So I am here. I have reclaimed the land. I have put off the intruders and life. And we will be having, I hope to bring Dr. Claudette here. We will be having retreats. I'm on 60 acres of woods.
Where are you? Where's that?
I'm in the northeastern part of Louisiana.
Ah, beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
I look
All right, I
forward,
see Dr.
certainly.
Cheryl
Yes.
Kirk Dugan. She's our resident Louisianian.
Okay.
Yes, and I totally resonate with the message. We have the podcast Becoming Earthwise, and we'll have to have you be a part of that as well. Will this has this been recorded, and will we receive a copy?
Yes, it is being recorded, and if you want to receive a copy, just let me know in the chat, and I'll make sure I send it to you all. Anyone else have any comments? Because I got a question for Dr. Dominique, and I have a
See one
follow-up
that's in the chat.
for Dr. Claudette. Go ahead.
So the question posed by Reverend Dr. Janet Garner Mullins is, in the context of energy justice, how might faith communities guided by spiritual values and scientific understanding advocate for equitable access to clean energy, especially for marginalized populations disproportionately affected by environmental harm? I think that thank you for the question. I think it's a beautiful question and an important one for us to reflect on, is really advocating for where do we live? And so, like, what are the environmental conditions or the energy conditions that we all come from? But also, like, what do our places of worship look like? What are the building, like, maintenance, and like, what are the renovations that need to happen in those places that we convene and that we congregate? And how might we use that as our pathway or our conduit to think about advocating for other folks? I think Reverend Dr. Sharon and I have been trying to put together a grant to see how we might be able to support Black folks and Black churches in their necessary upgrades, but also how might they become sites of resource and sites for support to learn about energy assistance programs, but also especially with the government shutdown. I know, like, my family church back home, they give out food every weekend. And so, like, how do we think about ourselves in terms of what climate resiliency looks like, but resiliency not just to extreme weather events, but resiliency to changes in political power and how policies and politics affect us. And so I think when we all galvanize, especially, I think also these data centers are coming and attempting to pop up in all of our communities. And so I think, and I mean, I've been doing this work for over 10 years now, and this has been the most engaged I've seen folks in the energy landscape, is because of the encroachment of data centers on our communities that are poisoning our communities. And so I think it really behooves us to all really, like, jump on the bandwagon, if you will, and really jump behind how might we be able to support and prevent these data centers from being placed in our communities, especially with a government that is bent on becoming, like, they use this language of energy dominance and want to be a leader in AI. And we need to be a leader in just providing housing. We need to be a leader in giving people healthcare. We need to be a leader in like solving the issues that we have today. And so how do we, think about that? And that's not to say that AI isn't helpful or isn't useful. I was at a wedding maybe about a month ago now in Savannah and was talking to this woman who I can't remember like exactly what the name of the profession is that she does, but she studies x-rays. And I asked her because I saw something on the internet about like, hey, like giving your knowledge and expertise and being able to look at an x-ray and say, hey, like this looks like early developments of cancer. When they run it through AI, because AI has really beautiful pattern recognition and language recognition, when the AI tells you, like, you look at something, you're like, this doesn't look like it has any cancer. But then when AI says, hey, like, based off of all the images that we've been able to study, this looks like this would be early recognition of what a formation of cancer might be. Do you then believe that that is true? And they say, yes, absolutely. I'm so excited for what this technology is and what this technology is doing. And so I think there are really beautiful benefits to what AI and artificial intelligence can do for us. But I think even now, just being a college professor, our reliance on it, particularly for our writing and our creative capacity, can become challenging and can really strip away our students and our just young people's critical thinking skills. And so it's important to teach them about it, but also to teach them, how to use it ethically and also like what are the environmental implications of it all. And so I'll pause there. I feel like I'm rambling, and can always continue to ramble, but I'll stop there for additional
I want
questions.
to follow that up with my question because I think maybe it could connect. We don't hear enough about nuclear energy as an option. What, in your assessment, are the pros and cons of nuclear energy, especially as an option to save our water and our air pollution? I know our water and air from being polluted by these data centers.
Yeah, that is a really, really good question. I think nuclear is a dicey topic, a dicey conversation. I think on one end, when people think about nuclear, we think about nuclear weapons. We think about how places like Fukushima have, suffered a lot of environmental harm because of our bombing of them. Um, I think from a community perspective, it's really challenging because folks don't have the best lens, the best perspective of nuclear, especially because what is required for nuclear is the uranium that is mined. I believe a lot of it is mined in like the Canadian region. But when you're doing any sort of mining, like there is like some ecological destruction that is happening for those communities and for those species that live in and around those areas. And so it's tough and it's challenging, like, given those environmental implications. However, on the other side, nuclear energy is revered, particularly by scientists, as something that is able to provide a lot of power, a lot of energy with, just a small amount of uranium that is mined. And so with our like present day, like I think nuclear 4 reactors, they are sizably more efficient and can provide a larger power load, um, and really can support a large power demand. But I think there are a lot of social, political, and cultural things, especially like educational, that needs to happen before nuclear can become more widespread. I think in Canada, they have started to launch some smaller nuclear reactors that are supporting some communities. But I think it's a challenging topic, and still a lot to learn from.
All right, I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Naborli, Dr. Naborli, will you kind of share your comment that's in the chat? But I want that to be a part of our audio as well, because you're looking at AI and brain energy. Talk to us a bit about how your comment and brain energy kind of connect to our spirit and science theme.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that came up after Dr. Bednar's stellar comments, about data centers and then thinking about uranium. I've been thinking about this question of critical minerals, like lithium, copper, alumina, and many others that are mined around the world, and particularly in African countries where a lot of my research is based on, and the implications of that mining itself disturbing the sort of the harmonic balance, in Earth, is something that I've been thinking about, like this idea around mining and the implications for disturbing the biosphere, what that means in terms of the ecosystem, and also balancing. Again, it's kind of part of the continuity of the colonial apparatus, right, of extraction, and this way of continuing to separate body, land, and soul, right, and the ways in which people's bodies as a form of energy represents, I think, a really critical way of viewing extraction, right? So there's that part of it, and I'm probably not articulating it as well as I could, but really just thinking back to the data centers that are cropping up, in lots of communities, and in some cases, I worry that they'll be popping up more and more in our communities of color, where I am pleased to see that that people have been vocal about, what that means in terms of diverting water, in terms of rising energy costs, and in terms of the lack of compensation, but also people are concerned about the environmental effects, right? So there's that part of it. But the massive energy that these data centers are guzzling, right? Not to mention the energy that they need for backup power is already causing a kind of dissonance that's really, really worrisome. And then that made me, I was thinking about that in the context of what Dr. Bednar said, about, the mining aspect of it, and also what it means to kind of juxtapose, on the one hand, the benefits of AI, but on the other hand, it's an indication of our consciousness collectively, right? On the one hand, the decline in consciousness, the distraction from what matters, but also the extraction of our own essence as human beings, right? And so
Wow. Wow.
our own energetic currency, which relates to the powerful words of Dr. Claudette.
Yes.
And so if we continue to see all of the components that make life possible as separate, and that's part of the colonial and neo-imperial
Yes.
apparatus, is to keep us divided and separate, then we don't realize how we're giving away our own currency as human beings, right? As power sources in our own right. And that requires attending to our own inner climates so that what is inside, what is already present, right? The cosmos, that consciousness, we can replicate that as well, but we can only do that in community, right? So the ways in which information is being marshaled as a distraction, as entertainment, and as a tool to diminish our own consciousness, I think is also related to this new quest for information and AI, right? So it's really up to us, to kind of echo Dr. Bednar. It's up to us to consider how to marshal this new age, keeping in mind our own essence and our own capacity, and to, kind of, we have everything we need, right? That's the thing.
Yes.
Like, there isn't this idea of lack. Again, these are all narratives that have been sold to us
Yes.
as complete lies, and we have everything that we need. We don't need to go anywhere for it, right? We don't even need to search for it. It's really about remembering, right? And so that's the power of religion. That's the power of these traditions that we have. That's the power of our African ancestral lineage. We have whole systems of whole systems and whole cosmologies of being, for thousands of years, for millennia, beyond that we can tap into right now, right? And that's how we're going to get out of this.
Yes,
and community,
absolutely.
and really and begin to recognize who we really are.
You see?
That we are powerhouses, as was so eloquently said, that we are walking powerhouses, each and every one of us, and we're here to help each other remember, right? And that's the power of knowledge and wisdom as original scientists, as alchemists, as all of those things. So that's the exciting part of all of this, the how to say, this is what we're dealing with is all very surface level. Even in this era of division and all of that, it's meant to distract us and to keep us thinking in small-minded ways, right? But we're much larger than that. So, yeah, I'm sorry, I've probably gone all over the place, but
No. This is good because you're helping me build a bridge to my I guess it's really a comment. Thank you so much, Dr. Navoli, just for taking time to join us, and then to make that wonderful contribution. I wanted to share something about what we already know, but the whole concept of spirit warrior and this knowledge of being a powerhouse. That's what allowed us to survive what we survived. You know, the spirit warriors of a Nanny, the spirit warriors of a Harriet Tubman, of a Sojourner Truth. The spirit have they understood this knowledge, and we have had amnesia. And so now the whole Sankofa work is to go back and get that, because we're going to have to now do battle with a different kind of enemy, but not really. It's the same kind of enemy in a new form. So when you hear someone, as my dad would say, oh, he's a science man, or that's a science woman, in the language of the of Obeah, that's the one that has been initiated. So I want you to say a little bit, because I believe my concern and my work is looking at initiation and how we make people human matters. And that I think there's something about the Eurocentric way of initiation that requires humiliation before elevation, as opposed to just the way in which Africans allow you to know who yourself and know who your role is, and know by the process of revelation through integration and nature. Can you say a bit about initiation, how we make people human? And because I know we could go on and on, and we'll go a little bit over, because please just give us a little bit about initiation.
Initiation. What does it mean to be human? Well, initiation is an English word. It means beginning, but every day then is an initiation, right? In that broader cosmic sense. The Igbo word for human is madu. Madu. Beauty. It means beauty, a thing of beauty. And so if you have initiation as a process of humiliation before elevation, what is it? The academy eats its young, right? No. Initiation is a process of self-knowledge.
Yes.
How very often do you hear somebody leaving college or leaving a graduate program, master's or PhD, saying, I learned about myself through that. I know who I am through. No. What we're doing is we're pursuing careers, because this is an elite career in our time, and we can profess the knowledge. And I can tell you that that's one of the reasons that I chose to do the work I'm doing as opposed to being in academia. Because here I am, I'm Sankofa, I'm going back to see what I can learn about myself. Up comes this fledgling discipline. All of a sudden, European Western education has discovered cognitive science of religion. They've suddenly discovered that God is defined as wisdom and knowledge. And this was a big deal, and there was a lot of money being given. And I was like, but my ancestors said this, they've been saying this for millions of years. I cannot participate in this lie, right? The fact of the matter is, that's life. That's how life is defined. Consciousness. This is will, right? Forcefulness of energy. Our systems of knowledge, as was said a while ago, we lived in concert with nature. We lived in concert with existence, with being. We were okay. We were doing quite fine. We have been taken backwards. People don't when I say that, people look at me as if I'm crazy. Our evolution in according to natural has been interrupted. But when you go West Central African systems of traditional cultures, the first thing is yourself. Do you know that another definition of God within the Igbo culture is Chi Neke, the self and community? This was an important point being made a while ago. We can't do what we're doing without community. God is defined as the self and community. Or two, the word one is also the word for the crowd. It's the same word. Every initiation, every download, every time we access Chi Uko Abiyama, the great God of wisdom and knowledge, the great energy of wisdom and knowledge, we access it for ourselves and for our community. When we do initiation, those of us now who are using the word in this very Eurocentric way, and I think even nuanced, I think within our space, we say, the person is a priest in training. You're already a priest. We're just refining, right? As your path. So what is initiation? It starts from you're in the womb. Divination is done for you. The priest knows what the alignment was when you were conceived, when you came out. He's able to tell your parents. You're living in community. And so every day then becomes an opportunity to what? Manifest, to create that you. So this is why we say you're not who you are. You're becoming who you are. Yet that becoming is you. So every day, this is why we say the Igbo calendar, it's a capsule, it's a medicine. It's a day that you get to take medicine. Life is medicine, right? So I don't know if I'm answering your question. I'm opening my
No.
mouth.
It's good. It's good. It's good. It's
But
good. It's
but
good.
but we we the structure is so different now from our forebears. That one of the questions we constantly ask at Unuchi Foundation is how do we integrate heritage into our daily lives? And I think that's part of the question you're asking. As we reach back and we learn these things, how do we integrate that? So what does initiation become? Or what should it be in the 21st century for
Yes.
us? And I think that people have to begin with divination. You have to find a priest, or comfort, dibia, babalawo, ianifo, self-knowledge. You have to start there. There are many of our people, one foot on a banana peel and one in the grave. They don't know who they are, why they're here, what they came for. We have to appeal to that ancient knowledge, that Afa system that all of our forebears who came this way, that was the system they were using of West Central Africa, that four. And we ask the Afa, we ask the Fa to help us to understand who we are in this time. And I think from my perspective, the person gets that first reading. They spend time with it. A lot of our people are being forced to get hand of this and hand of that and to be in a language they don't know. Things being said they don't understand. We're talking about primal energies. They know all the languages. If we truly access if we truly believe in ourselves, if we truly see ourselves as people of faith. When I tell people that anybody can divine, you need 4 coins, 4 peanut shells, 4. This is all of nature is sacred. You can ask the peanut shell something and it will tell you. These are things we've lost, right? That nature. Well, when we go to the 4, the fa, it has to be 4 because we know that there are 4 arcs. We know that there are 4 wombs. We know that there are 4 spirals, there are 4 knowledges. So the system itself is complete. And if we have the confidence, we can take 4 coins, pray over it ourselves, put it in water, bless the water, and talk to the coins. Talk to the cowrie shells if that's you. But you have to begin at a place of self-knowledge to understand why you're truly. That is true initiation. And that's what I argue for when I do readings. And I say, I am not here to tell you if you're going to win the lotto. That's external. I'm not here to tell you if you're going to get the husband from. No. Who are you? When you go to an Igbo dibia to do divination and you take your 4 kola nuts, your 4 kola nuts, the first question that the diviner, the dibia, asks the kola nut is this querent and his or her family life? These are the exact words. So it would be, is Dr. Sharon Grant and her family life? Self-knowledge. What's happening, not what you, because you're your family. The family is not excluded. You sometimes you go to these so-called priests and priestesses and it's all about you, and you don't understand the environment, why you're not balanced. But I am saying, are you and your family live? Is a question that everybody should be asking. Even in this age where families are disconnected and there's so much mistrust and all of that are broken. But I would urge everybody to initiate themselves. It's 4. It happens in all languages. It's number. It's beyond language. And you can do it for yourself. And you can do it in groups. And it's not demon worship, it's not devil worship. It's accessing in an ancient way. It's the most complete form of knowledge. And so to initiate is to begin to know oneself and to understand oneself and one's purpose in this particular life journey. Helps you to understand the past, helps you to understand the future. Your power, you can access anything. Know ye not that ye are gods. Know ye not that ye are gods. When did we give up our divinity and outsource it? Right? We're in the business of outsourcing our divinity because we've been told that we're less than, right? This is part of the trauma of what we've had to endure. And so we outsource everything. Even the very book that we're using says you should worship the gods of your ancestors. The very book is telling us, and it tells us how to do it. If you go into a house, when you move into a new house, people moving into the house, they don't even know how to cleanse it. But they're people of faith. Are you joking? We have to go back, Sankofa, to go forward. Because that gap where we were demonized, that gap that criminalized our religion, we can't even call on those ancestors because they're needing us to help them. We have to go back to before they were forced to do the things they were doing. This is part of our healing. And the more of us that begin to understand that, the better it will be for us. Look at what, and this is the point that was just made by the noble doctor. The mining, look at what's been done to the energy of Earth on the continent. Why do you think our people are like that? The violation of the earth in those ways that are not sacred to fuel outside of the continent, to live again, not in concert with the environment. The violation of the earth, the Igbos talk about violence rooted in the land and what happens when it's there for a long time. So our initiation is to begin to go back. Those systems exist. And I have told my students, I've told my querents, you don't need to go back to Africa physically. God knows where you are. God is everywhere. You stay right wherever you are. And you in earnestness, because with four-chambered heart, it's the purity of the heart that gets you into the kingdom of heaven. It's
That's
the
it.
purity of heart that
That's
gets
my
you
art.
into
That's my art.
I will rest there.
We have to stop there. We have to stop there. I don't want to stop there, but we have to. Y'all, this has been so, so important. And I thank you, Dr. Anderson. I thank you, Dr. Bednar. I thank each and every one of you. Sheila Wallhill, Reverend Sheila Wallhill, she's another one of our IC Fish Advisory board members. Glad to have you with us. Dr. Dancy, CFO, all of you. I saw Dr. Boyd. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You have to know in Jamaica, the AME Zion Church is a repository of the revival religion that bridged, if you will, this knowledge of ancestral wisdom with Christianity. Now, a lot of times when you go visit, they're not going to show you what they do because they don't trust you. But know that when you go to Jamaica, the revival traditions are in the AME Zion Church. They are there. And anyway, I thank you all. This has been, I will send everybody a copy. We will also have one on the IC Fish website. We can go back and take a look at it, okay? But y'all, this is the work. This is the work for our children, our grandchildren. And guess what? We will not fail because God is with us. Amen. Ashe. And goodbye. Have a fantastic day. All right. Fantastic day.
Thank you. Ciao, everyone. Thank you. Have a beautiful day, beautiful weekend.